For this video, it's just an update about my nomadic trip. And I've talked about it before in a couple of my videos, starting with the very first video that I actually put on this channel. That was my initial plans for this nomadic trip. And then the second update came, I believe, around in March or so. So this video is just an update to kind of what I've been planning and when I'll actually be starting this trip, as I kind of have an actual date. So in this video, I'll be talking more about this trip. I don't know exactly what I'll be saying because I actually have no script for this. It's kind of just off the top of my head. I just have bullet points and such, but I hope you get some type of information in this video, and let's get it started. So when am I actually going to be starting this trip? So in the very first video on this channel, I actually mentioned that I wanted to start this trip in March of this year. Obviously it's May and I'm still in Los Angeles, so that is wrong. And in March, I talked about an update to this information. And from there, I didn't really know when I would start. I just know I wanted to start as soon as the end of this year. And from now, at least from where I'm standing and how I'm feeling right now, I want to start this trip after December, in the middle of December. As in the middle of December, I have a wedding that I want to go to for a couple of close friends. And that's actually really important to me. So I'm actually glad I didn't go in March, or else that'd be something I'd miss. And that's something that I probably shouldn't miss. But yeah, I'll actually be starting after that. Part of me wants to start like right after the wedding, which is actually something I did last year when I went on my Korea and Japan trip for a month. I went to a friend's wedding and I immediately went to the flight like the day after. So that was a bit of a rush. And if I'm gonna be doing this for, you know, who knows how long, for a year or for a couple months, whatever it is, it's probably something that I should probably really prepare for. So I don't know if I want to do that. My plan is hopefully around the end of December, maybe after Christmas, before New Year's, or maybe a bit after New Year's, I'm not too sure. But I definitely want to start latest the end of December or the beginning of January of next year, because I've been prolonging this for way too long. So about the locations I have planned for this trip, I've talked about it a bit in my other video that I released in March, and I forgot what locations that I mentioned exactly, but I definitely do want to go back to Korea and Japan, as I have a sense of familiarity with them, and also I haven't really explored much of it. Even though I did live in Japan for a year and a half, I was working there, so I didn't really get to experience anything outside of Tokyo or in the 1 week that I was there, Kyoto and Osaka. And of course the daily trips as well. Ones that I've had to Numazu, others I've had to Yokohama, and then of course ones that I've had to Hakone. So in that, I really wanted to explore more of those countries. And because I have a bit of familiarity with them, it'll be a bit easier for me to get around. As for other locations besides that I have, I really wanted to go to Thailand, as I've never been there, Bangkok, Chiang Mai, and of course Vietnam with Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. And with those countries and locations, of course, I have more planned out. But those are just the general countries that I wanted to go to. And from those countries, I have a bunch of cities I have planned in my notes, but I'll talk more about that later. So preparing for this trip and doing all this research when it comes to, you know, flights, places to live, food, budgeting, other things you would need to know about when planning for a big scale trip like this. I kind of had to choose between options of whether I wanted to go with hotels, Airbnbs, and all these other things. But let me talk about the hotels versus Airbnbs. Hotels versus Airbnbs was, you know, a very kind of big topic. And from my experience, I found that Airbnbs are usually a better option if you want to stay at a location for, you know, 3 weeks, 4 weeks or longer. Whereas hotels are a better option if you want to stay for a couple of days to a week. Something that I also thought about was that hotels, at least hotels that I've been to, they don't give you kitchens. And with Airbnbs, you have kitchens, so you can go out and shop and get groceries and save money that way by cooking in instead of eating out almost every night. Especially if you're eating at the more expensive places where your tab will probably add up by the time you get to your 5th or 6th day at a location. Airbnbs is probably something that I'd be using the most. And that's really due to the price and also the amenities you get when getting an Airbnb. With pricing, if you stay for 4 weeks or longer at an Airbnb, you get a discount from, you know, the host. Usually you get a discount. Some hosts, I believe, they don't give out discounts, but for most hosts they do. And you get a discount, whether it be big or small, it's still a discount. So for staying longer than 4 weeks, you get that. And also, obviously, like I mentioned before earlier, you get the kitchen in an Airbnb. And that allows you to go to the grocery market and cook for yourself. That's a great way to save money. I'd still obviously want to experience the local food and obviously any other experiences that I would only get in that country. But some people may ask, but I thought you didn't want to spend any money, or I thought you would use the kitchen to cook all your food. Well, the kitchen is there for most nights. But for the days where I don't want to cook, or for the meals where I don't want to cook, and for days where I want to experience the local food, well, I can just go to the more local areas and not go to the touristy areas. The touristy spots, not only will you have to deal with all the people, all the crowds, all the tourists. But you also have to deal with the massive waiting times that you'll have for those restaurants. And of course, the expenses. And for the local areas, you probably get more of the local feel, cheaper prices, and of course you get to conversate with the locals there. Even if we can't understand each other too much, it's still nice to interact with the locals and to have a conversation with them. Combine eating locally in local areas and cooking my own food, that would allow me to save a lot more money compared to if I were just to eat out every night in expensive areas. And talking about that discount for Airbnbs, because you get that discount after you book for around 4 weeks longer or so, I would want to roughly spend around 3 months in every country, cycling 1 month between each city, as I feel that's a good amount in one area, both for my wallet, again, because of the discount, and also just for lifestyle and photo reasons. I wouldn't have to rush to get photos I want, and staying in one place for only a week or two isn't really enough for me personally. I like to take it slow and enjoy my time in a city rather than rushing. And when traveling for a long time, you'll definitely end up running into some unpredictable moments, such as change or canceled flights, which I've definitely had the experience of when I was going from Korea to Japan during my 1-month trip. I had a very weird situation with my flight from Korea to Japan. For some reason, when I was trying to check in to my flight, they had told me that I didn't even book it at all, and that my name wasn't even on the list. So I had to check in with Expedia, and they apparently told me that they canceled my flight immediately after I bought it, and they sent me no email whatsoever. So that was a bit odd. So, things like that I'll have to prepare for. Less than stellar Airbnbs, medical issues such as food poisoning or any type of flus or sickness or allergies that I might not even know I have. So with all that, there are definitely unpredictable moments, and I've definitely set out some money to combat those, so that way I can purchase a flight or so if something gets canceled and I'm not refunded. I can go to a doctor to check up and stuff like that. I can fly back to the US if I ever need anything or if I ever need to. I have a set amount budgeted towards that alone. So I have planned for the unplanned. And that's really the only thing I can do for those type of situations. Now for the things that I can prepare for, I will prepare for beforehand, such as bringing an extra pair of glasses, preparing for the seasons. I already know how summer and winter will be in Korea and Japan. I don't know much about the weather in Vietnam or Thailand, but all I can do is research, which I have done research, and I compare only based on that information. So from that, I'll prepare my clothes and try to get the best of everything with the limited amount of clothes I can bring. And then, once I'm in the country, once I'm in location, if I ever need, an extra pair, I don't know, a jacket or something, I can always just buy it. And I budgeted a certain amount for those type of things. That way I don't have to feel like, I'm in any panic mode if I can't buy those things because I don't have enough money. And I'm talking about planned and unplanned expenses. I also gotta take into account for myself random expenses that I know I would need to pay just because I make mistakes. And I know I'll make mistakes. I made mistakes when I lived in Japan for 1.5 years, and I know I'll make mistakes when I go on this trip. It's just bound to happen. And I know enough now to where I can try to mitigate some of the things that will happen. But it's travel, so what can you do about it? You just gotta pay. I do have a certain amount budgeted towards that just because I know kind of how much I probably will spend on those random expenses alone. So again, trying to predict as much as possible. Of course you can't predict anything, but you can at least be prepared for some of these things. And now going back to those planned locations that I have, my lifestyle is very, very simple. My goals for when I'm traveling is just to live how the locals live in that location and document my time there. Obviously, I'd want to experience the touristy spots and get photos of the things that are famous, but more importantly, I'd want to live and experience life more like a local than like a tourist in the city that I visit and take photos of that. I just love walking around a city with my camera in my hand and just exploring every nook and cranny of the city. I don't want to necessarily go to all the big flashy locations. Obviously it'd be nice to go there, and I probably will want to go there at least once, but after once it's kind of just okay, I know what that place is all about. It's not too complicated of a lifestyle. I just choose a location that I want to go to and just walk around there all day, and then maybe I'll go to somewhere else, walk around there all day, and then I go back and do it all again the next day. So yeah, that is an update to my nomadic trip. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. I hope y'all enjoyed this video and learned something from it. But yeah, I'll talk to y'all next week. Later.